Welcome back to Briggs on Books, where we talk to authors from all over the world about their books and their process. But I'm more excited about something else right now because look, it's World Champagne Day is coming up October 25th, I think. So in honor of that, we invited our good friend, the author, back on the show, the author of Champagne Widows. Please welcome Rebecca Rosenberg.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited about Champagne Day.
Yeah, is that a holiday? Do you call it a holiday?
It is a holiday. It's a world holiday. Like, you can get online and you can look at World Champagne Day and you can find all the events that are going on all over the world. And of course, since I write about Champagne and I've traveled to Champagne so often, I get pretty excited about this.
And by the way, for our viewers, we're going to talk to Rebecca about these two books in a moment about Champagne Widows. But I want to talk a little more about Champagne Day. What do we have here? We have 3 different kinds of champagne.
Actually, I was going to show you these because this is a fun idea for Champagne Day, is to, if you're not really astute about champagne, then you can try different kinds. So this is a brut champagne, and that one I'm going to tell you about from Madame Pommery, who invented brut, and that's the dry, light champagne that we mostly drink.
Yeah.
Or if you like something a little more complicated and a little richer on your palate, which is really nice in the fall, then you can do a Blanc de Noir. And then finally, like my husband loves the lightest champagne, and this is one that you probably have had at parties, and it's called Blanc de Blanc. And Blanc de Blanc is made from Chardonnay grapes only. So that's the differences here, is what grapes are they made with. This one, the Blanc de Noir, it's from Pinot Noir grapes.
Right.
And then the brut is a mix of all 3. So something fun for this Champagne Day would be to try each one of those types of champagne.
I might have to have a champagne week to get through all of those. Now, do you drink champagne just by itself, or would you have it with a meal or with a dessert?
Drink champagne by itself. But I'll tell you the best, very fun snack to have with it, and everyone usually has it, which is potato chips.
Ah, nice.
Because it's salty. So anything salty tastes fantastic with champagne. And of course, if you happen to have some caviar on the potato chips, all the better.
Yeah. I usually don't have that in the pantry.
No, me either.
What about now, champagne is always made where?
Well, champagne is always made in Champagne, France. And I'm going to get into the woman who started it all in 1800s, and that is Veuve Clicquot. And Veuve means widow. So she was the widow Clicquot who in 1800 defied Napoleon and defied all the laws to do her own champagne company. And this is the book about her called Champagne Widows. She was amazing because she was only 24 and women were not even allowed to run businesses.
Yeah.
And she persevered through 15 years of Napoleon's wars to create her champagne. And her champagne in those days was extremely sweet. Although the Veuve Clicquot that you have today has gotten to be drier, thank goodness, because I don't think we've even tasted champagne as sweet as Veuve Clicquot did. So the cool story behind her is that she was born with an extraordinary sense of smell, and it was called le nez, the nose. And through that, she discovered that she could make incredible champagne that people loved. And so she defied the laws, as I said, by actually shipping whole ships full of champagne to Russia while we were at war. Not we, but the French were at war with Russia. So she was a really super gutsy gal.
Yeah.
And I just love her, from 1800.
And people don't realize these people actually existed. Is that right?
I think that that's the great thing is we take this for granted. Oh, you can go buy a bottle of champagne, but she persevered so much. They had pandemics just like we have. They had these 15 years of war. All the men were being killed in war, and so she had to train all the women who weren't even used to working at that point how to make this champagne. And she really revolutionized how champagne was made in a lot of ways.
Now, I have this picture you sent me of the three. I want to talk about your books, I promise. There's three different kinds of champagne. It almost looks like they're in a set. Is that a certain brand?
So that is okay, so you asked where champagne is from, and it's from Champagne, France. But here in California, or anywhere in the world, you can get sparkling wine. And what's different about this, which is breathless wines, is that it's made in the method champenois. So it's made in the exact method with the exact grapes that they do in France. So it tastes very similar to champagne. In fact, we have fun at Breathless Wines by doing a taste-off between a blind tasting between this sparkling wine, we have to call it sparkling wine, compared to the champagne. And last year we did really well, so that was a lot of fun. So you could try that to celebrate Champagne Day too. You could have a bottle of less expensive sparkling wine. This typically would sell for $30.
Yeah.
And this one is going to be more like $65, $70, so twice as much. And see if you can tell the difference between them.
You sent me the image with the three, and I zoomed in here. Breathless Wines. I know what to ask for.
Yes, Breathless Wines. You can go on their website and you can see all of their, in fact, they just won the huge Harvest Fair sweepstakes as the #1 sparkling wine in all of California. So that was a huge deal that just happened a couple of days ago. That's
exciting.
My house. I call this my house champagne, and I'm one of their best. I don't own the company. It's a friend of mine, and I buy so much of it. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to order some as soon as we get off the air here, and Breathless Wines. Little plug for them.
All right.
Let's go back to the books. We talked a little bit about your first book, and here's the cover again, Champagne Widows. And then your other book, second book, I'd say, yeah, here's the cover. I have the cover.
Is about Madame Pommery, and she has a totally different story. Here's her beautiful champagne, Pommery. And you can visit these places right now in France. I've visited Champagne probably 6 times now and led various tours through Champagne. It's like a Disneyland for people who love champagne. So Madame Pommery came along 60 years after Veuve Clicquot, and she was a 40-year-old widow, and she had to support her daughter and her son, and she had no skills at all. And she just said, well, if Veuve Clicquot could do it, then I can do it. And so she started late in life, and she didn't have the money that Veuve Clicquot had either. And she came up with an idea to make dry champagne. And so this is the first brut that ever existed, is Pommery. And now, really, throughout the country, we only drink brut. So we really credit her for changing the taste of champagne from a super sugary, sweet drink to something dry and light and effervescent.
Were these two women contemporaries, or were they at different time frames?
They lived in the same town, and Veuve Clicquot, in this book, Veuve Clicquot has a couple of appearances because she was an older woman by then. I think she was 80 at the time that Madame Pommery was getting her winery together, but she did encourage her. So it was fun. It was fun to put those two characters together. And I'm in the middle of writing a third Champagne Widows book, so we'll talk about that next time.
Well, for our viewers, in honor of Worldwide Champagne Day, October 25th, order these books. And by the way, I don't know if I've said this when I was talking to you, but got the habit, I encourage our viewers to do this. When you go to Amazon or wherever you decide to get the book, don't just click one time, click 5 times and order 5 copies. I always have to go to people's houses for dinner, and I always take a gift, so I've been gifting books. So.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Especially
with a bottle of champagne or a bottle of sparkling wine.
In fact,
they sell a lot of Champagne Widows books in wineries, as you can imagine.
Right. Yeah, great. Now, okay, World Champagne Day, October 25th. 2 of the books are out. We have the covers. Oh, here's your web address too, Rebecca-Rosenberg.com. What would our viewers find there?
Well, you'll find more about my other books. I have written 7 books, and more about Champagne Widows and Madame Pommery, and lots of videos and stories and things like that. But you can buy, the easiest place to buy these books is on Amazon, or you can order it from your local bookstore.
Yeah. I like to go to my local bookstore and say, do you have Champagne Widows? I'd like to read that. And I get them into the bookstore. So.
Well, thank you, Mike. That's fantastic. Actually, if you have a Kindle, if you have an e-reader, right now these books for World Champagne Day are $5 for a Kindle. So
amazing.
Usually they're $10, so they're half price for that day.
Yeah. On Father's Day, I got a Kindle from my kids, and it's still wrapped in the packaging. I haven't even taken it out, but maybe this will be an excuse to get it out and learn how to use a Kindle.
Well, you should make them set it up for you, and then you'll use it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Rebecca, any last thoughts for our viewers on the books or champagne?
Celebrate World Champagne Day, and I feel like it's celebrating joy and sharing time together, and we need more of that right now.
Yeah. And yet another excuse to drink some champagne.
There you go. Thank you, Mike.
All right, our guest is Rebecca Rosenberg, and I might get the link to that winery and put it when we post this, so because I want to go to that winery and buy some champagne.
It's breathlesswines.com.
Breathlesswines.com. Very good. Our guest has been Rebecca Rosenberg, author of the Champagne Widows novels, and there's another one coming out. I can't wait. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for coming on the show. And for our viewers, don't go anywhere. We're going to have another author right after this.